Hey friends, we just wanted to put a little caveat before you listen to this full episode. When we recorded this, it was the day before William Hurt passed away, and unfortunately, during recording, neither Keith nor myself had any idea of any of the allegations that had been brought up against William Hurt regarding sexual assault and abuse towards Marlee Matlin. We absolutely stand by Marlee Matlin. We believe her. We fully support her. And in no way is this recording of this podcast meant to insinuate that we didn't care or that we're making light of any of these situations that she went through. We thank you so much for sticking with us, and we always want to hold ourselves accountable, and we always want to do better. Thanks for listening. Content warning, y'all. We have lots of fun making this podcast, but remember, we watch a lot of R-rated films, use language that reflects that, and joke about heavy topics to create levity around these themes. If that doesn't feel safe or could be triggering, please take care of yourself. We want you to have fun listening too. This also means we might not be suitable for children. Oh yeah, and we spoil the end of all the movies we pod about. Thanks for listening.
This is so trippy.
You do this thing sometimes? When we're recording.
Yeah, no, that's totally true.
Where I've noticed, at least, where you'll just fully
I'm always...
you're always like just
True.
no, you don't, but you don't. And it's funny to me. It's just funny to me.
As a white man. Non-canonical. Non-denominational.
Non-denominational. Today,
Whoa.
I feel
This is so trippy.
I feel pretty shitty today because
One more time.
yeah, one last time have a nice purge of my uterine lining. Are
Guess
you
you
missing
forgot
your
their coffee.
Yeah, it's on the counter. I see it. So I'm in pain, and I can't really take much in regards to pain reliever because I'm gonna have surgery. So I have to be careful. So I'm not feeling great, but I wanted to record anyway because I was like, that'll be an interesting. I mean, whatever. Maybe not for the listeners, but it's when you listen, it should be a week after my surgery. So I'm like, yeah, I'm in an altered state. I'll be in an altered state. It's a pretty perfect time to talk about altered state. The movie that we watched last night.
Also, we're sat in the opposite.
Yes, because I'm in a lot of pain. I'm
So
laying
that state
down.
is also altered.
Yes. I'm laying down on the couch, which means that I'm in Keith's normal position because he has a
Let me tell you, the
perma.
world looks so different from over here.
Yeah. You
I
have
do
a better.
I do like being able to see out the window.
To say Keith has this thing. I don't even know how to describe it because it's just gonna sound normal. Keith likes to look out the window. Oh, okay, that's not weird. It's just he likes it. Like
and you can tell he's enjoying himself while he's just looking out the window.
It's really
And-
compulsive. I don't even realize. I don't even think about it.
No, I used to have in the apartment I lived in before we moved in together. Before we decided to live in sin, I had a window.
You should probably get closer to the microphone.
I literally was like, "Are you being serious though?"
You seem to get quieter in my ear. Plus, I thought it would be funny to say.
It is funny. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
I used to have a window in my bathroom, and when Keith would use the restroom sitting down, he would just stare out the window, and
Yeah,
it was
you thought
so
it was hilarious.
funny. It was so funny.
Hey guys, I like to look out the window when I poop if I have the option. What a fucking freak.
It's more that it's because you look happy. You're happy pooping because you can look outside. Also, the view was of the parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking at the parking lot.
I know. But it was funny to me. But he gets like, he'll get in this. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to dox you right now, but he gets into a certain sitting position also when he's looking out the window. I don't know if you realize that, but you will, like, you look like you're yoga posing when you're looking. Yeah, like I can tell when you're like, yeah, it's just really interesting.
Yoga posing.
It is compulsive, but it's such a sweet compulsion, like for someone to compulsively like look outside at like the sky, like that's so sweet. Like you're not like compulsively like pulling out your eye hairs, you know. Wait, your eye hairs? That's not real. You're not.
It's real.
Like I compulsively pick my cuticles and my skin,
Well,
and you compulsively look out the
things
window.
like that too. Anyway,
But
enough about me.
Doesn't look cute. Anyway, yeah. So Keith's in a position where he can see out the window. So.
Well, I could see out the window, but it's a large enough window.
Yeah,
I could
I
see
can
before.
see out the window, but it's
In fact,
definitely.
The episode I just edited.
You told
I
me.
break to be like, hey, there's a squirrel.
And then you fart into the microphone.
Like you do. Why did we choose this movie?
Oh yeah, that's a good. Before we say that, I want to say, our GoFundMe is probably still up. I don't know how long it'll be up, but check the links in our bio. If you're curious for ways, we set up a GoFundMe so that, we could, not be stressed about money while I'm in hospital or,
Let's say less stressed.
Yeah, less stressed. That's fair. Well, yeah, it could be less stressed about money while I'm in hospital. And I don't want to say this by now. I mean, right now it's a week before my surgery. When this is actually on, it'll be a week after. But like going into it, I don't know. There could be complications. I'm not looking for that. I don't think that there will be. I'm not planning for that. But that's something that could happen. So like you don't know. It might be like a harder recovery than I'm anticipating. Is all I'm saying. And that can happen. That's very possible for this kind of procedure. Not to say like, whatever. I'm just saying it's not going to be like.
Yeah, it could be a longer recovery than anticipated without anything.
Correct, without any real complications.
Being wrong. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
Also, our building just got sold. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of feel like, who the fuck knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, I know. I'm really looking forward to just getting kicked out 2 weeks after my surgery. Anyway, so if you're like, hey, how can we, support you? You can check out our GoFundMe. And honestly, like, it's one of those things where I would like, if you're not able to give any money, like that's totally fine. But if you can't give money, then you could just like tweet it out or post it or something like that. Share it and let people know. Or if you do give money, you can share and just be like, hey, I was only able to give $2, but maybe you can give 10 or something like that.
Yes.
Not telling you to like, panhandle or something like that. But if you have to, you have to. No, I'm just kidding.
Do what you gotta do.
One time I had, like I like got a call from, this was back when I used to answer the phone. I got a call from like one of those scammers that was
Rube.
like, "Oh, donate money for kids with cancer," and I'm like, "That's such a." And I was like, "No," and I was like, "I don't really have money to donate. Also, no, I'm not going to donate money over the phone." And he was like, "Oh, you don't care about kids with cancer?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "You can't ask your friends to give you money for kids with cancer." And I was like, "What are you?" I was like, "No, I don't." He's like, "None of your friends have money for you to ask for, so you can give money to kids with cancer." And I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah,
And he was like, "You're so," and he was like, really like, "You don't care. You hate kids with cancer." And he was just going so hard. And I was just like laughing about it because I was like,
Good.
this guilt trip isn't working because I'm saying
Yeah.
I don't have, like, I'm a poor person. Like, I don't have money. Like, you know, like,
Can't bleed or rock.
right. I'm like, it's not a thing of like, can I scrape up the funds? Also, you think I have friends?
Right.
Forget having friends with or without money. I don't have friends.
Right.
I mean, this was like at the time. I'm not saying I don't have friends now. Yeah. So I'm not trying to pull that. You can't
No.
ask your friends to give me money.
It was very much. I've told you this story. I forget the exact situation, but I think I'd been sent to collections for some parking tickets
Woo.
that were my fault, but the car was not in my name, so. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's hard.
And it was more complicated than that for stupid reasons. Anyway, so I hadn't been sent to collections for that, but I was calling the collections place to pay that off, and they were, and I was like, okay, I want to pay this debt. It's in this person's name, and they were like, oh well, there's some shit in your name here too, and I'm like, yeah, I just want to pay the other stuff, and they're like, oh, you want to pay your friend's debt and not yours, and I'm like, correct. But it was the same tone. It was like, oh, you can.
Right.
I'm like, what the fuck do you care?
Yeah.
You have zero skin in this game. And what kind of weird backwards guilt trip is this? Like, oh, you care more about somebody else than yourself?
When I had surgery
what kind of selfish asshole?
When I had surgery the first time, like when I had my gallbladder issue and I had to have my cholecystectomy.
Oh shit!
I remember what it's called because they made me say it 50 million times before going into surgery. And then when I was like in the operating room and they're like, "What are you here for?" I was like, I can't remember what it's called.
Gallbladder no work.
And I was like, I'm getting my gallbladder removed, and they were like, that works. And I'm like, you mean this whole time?
I could have been saying that.
I was so pissed. Anyway, before like. Not even a week before, like a couple days before my surgery, someone called and they were like, "Oh, your insurance is only covering this amount and you need to pay like 10% of it."
Oh, right.
And I was like, "Okay, that's cool." Cuz it was like $20,000 for the surgery and I needed to pay like 10% of it or like I don't know, some percent.
$20.
They were like, "You need to pay $3,000 up front." And I was like, okay, well, I don't have $3,000 to pay up front. And they were like, okay, well, then can you just pay like such a percentage of that? Can you just give us $300 right now? And I was like, no. I was like, that's like more than half of my rent. I'm like, I don't have that money to just like give you. I was like, I don't have that. And they were like, okay, well, I'm just, and like, this is what the lady's tone was so much like a gun was being pointed at her head. Like, it was very much like, I have to say this, even though she's like, I just want you to know that they'll find a way to get it from you if you don't pay it. And I was like, okay. And she's like, so if you don't pay this, they'll get it from you anyway. And I was like, what are they gonna do? Take my foot? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It was like, I was like, cool, I don't have money to pay this right now. Like, I don't have that money. I don't have $300 to spare. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And they're so awful about it. Mm. They're so fucking awful about it. Anyway, luckily, because this surgery is, because I'm super poor and on Medicaid, and for whatever reason in Illinois, dysphoria is covered by Medicaid. I don't know. They haven't told me though. They keep being like, we'll let you know. And I'm like, okay. So I don't know. They're like, have they gone over the price with you of how much it's going to cost? Like someone asked me that. And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, okay, well, okay. And I was like, ah! So hopefully after the surgery, I'm hit with like a $50,000 bill. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
We'll just up the GoFundMe if that happens.
Fuck that. They don't.
I know.
I'm not giving them any money.
No, yeah. No,
I'm not giving them any of your money. Fuck that. I'm putting my foot down.
Anyway, Jesus Christ. So if you also don't have money and you still want to support this podcast, this is going to sound like humoring us, which it is, but like in a really good way. If you follow us on social media, if you follow us on Twitter or TikTok or Instagram, that gives us a huge ego boost.
Yeah.
Don't forget to also, and like across the board on Twitter, on TikTok, and Instagram, we're ZNK Pod. You can also become a patron, or you can just follow us on Patreon, and you'll get notified whenever our posts go live.
That's right.
And it's patreon.com/ZNKpod. Also,
Bro, $12 a year?
yeah, seriously.
$1 a month.
Yeah, you could, yeah.
You get our bi-weekly.
Yep.
Am I using that right?
Yeah, right? Because it's every other week. We post it's an exclusive episode that we only post to Patreon, and we don't post it anywhere else later. Like it's just stays on Patreon.
Patreon exclusive.
And also we post the podcast a day early on Patreon.
Oh, that's
so
right.
You can listen to it. Like if you're like, "Oh, I love your stuff. But it happens on Saturday and I can't listen to it until like whatever, because of this or that." But if you Friday's
if you
have a really strict
if
schedule.
this very specific hypothetical applies to you.
Fuck off. I'm trying to be inclusive. Anyway. Yeah, so you can do that. Or another super free thing that you can do is you can go to Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
And you can review it. Yes. And you can just give us 5 stars and a thumbs up emoji.
Yeah, you don't have to write anything.
I think it makes you comment. Maybe it doesn't. But if it, like, I don't remember if it makes you comment or not.
Right.
But
whatever,
if it
you
does,
can do a one-word.
Right, if it does, you can literally do a
bitchin'.
thumbs up emoji.
Yeah, right.
Like you can, or do like an eggplant emoji, do a unicorn emoji,
Whatever.
do
Poop.
the trans flag emoji, whatever, do the gay flag emoji,
Poop.
do the smiling poop, do a ghost, do
18-year-old ghost.
do. Anyway,
Name
so,
all the emojis.
Yeah, show me your top 5 emojis that aren't a smiley. Wait, new challenge just dropped. Go to Apple Podcasts and in the review just put 5 stars and then show me your top 5 emojis. I want to see what they are.
Challenge.
It's a challenge. You love
There's a new TikTok challenge. Go to Apple Podcasts.
No, yeah. New TikTok challenge. Go to Apple Podcasts. Find our podcast and screen record yourself giving us 5 stars and then, and then
all
your
you listeners who are on TikTok
emojis, and then post it to TikTok and then tag us on TikTok. New challenge.
Here's Stanzi Patinza.
Yeah. We're not desperate.
We'll do it for your podcast.
Oh, God.
Check out What the Fresh Hell on.
Yeah, I haven't listened
podcast.
to it because I don't listen to
I tried.
podcasts.
It started to give me a panic attack.
I don't like listening to podcasts.
Oh, reveal.
I know.
Shocking.
I literally, this is a thing. I sometimes am like, I want to do a podcast where I talk about art and things.
LOL.
Why? I don't listen to them.
Because you love the sound of your own voice.
Exactly. No, I just like attention.
Check out Zed Talks.
On YouTube, yeah. I got a new one coming out Monday. It's coming out on Monday.
And what's the topic on this one?
The topic on this one is the sound of my voice. It's relatable to anyone who listens. Oh, I said it's coming out this Monday. It came out 2 weeks ago.
Came out 2 months ago.
You've already seen it. You love it. But if you forgot to give it a thumbs up,
Do it now.
do that.
Do it.
And go subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Oh, man, we got so many things for you to like and subscribe to.
I know.
and
You're welcome.
Rate and review.
God, you're
and
welcome.
fucking
I'm
give us money for.
I'm so envious that you get so much
Must be a real
content
privilege
from
to know us.
God, you're so fucking lucky. What's it like? What's it like to be so rich with friends like us who have no money and constantly beg you to pay attention to us?
You're never going to have it better than this.
Fucking seriously.
You're never going to find a better podcast to listen
You're
to.
nothing without us.
Exactly.
Anyway, we're having fun. We watch Altered States.
Y'all should.
Why, Shug?
Our second watch through of King of the Hill.
Yeah. Why, Shug? I love it.
Yeah, Altered States.
It's good. Okay.
We chose it because it's part of
March Hysterical Madness.
Check.
And because I'm, it's coming out a week after my surgery when I'm probably still going to be roughly using a little bit of pain meds, maybe, depending on, my recovery. And I'll be in an altered state. So it matches I'm going to be in an altered state after
and
my
depending
surgery,
on your usage of painkillers, I may also be in an altered state. Fingers crossed.
You'll just go get yourself a lot. You'll just use my small supply of weed products that I haven't been able to use in preparation for having a surgery. Yeah. Oh God.
And we had talked about watching this.
We wanted to.
Since we start,
I think so. Yeah. Because
probably even before we started the pod when we were just.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
As
Altered
our
States.
handy viewing.
This is a movie that I'm not sure if I've ever seen it all the way through. I'm convinced I've seen it much more than I actually have, I think. Hold on.
Well, and we talked about we probably both, if we'd seen it, it would have been on broadcast television, and so it would have been highly edited, I'd imagine.
I feel like I mouth farted when I said that. I might.
You need help?
No, my socks are caught on my leggings that are caught on my big body pillow. This body pillow, I'm just gonna put this in here. My friend Brittany,
Shout out.
offered it to me because of my upcoming surgery. They had the same surgery, for different reasons, but they had a similar surgery about a year ago, so they used this body pillow for that. And they were like, "Ooh, do you want it?" And I was like, "Hell yeah." And when I got it, I laughed hysterically because the shape of the pillow looks like just a pair of jeans got stuffed. It was so funny. I laughed so hard. And then I'm trying it out because I'm not feeling very good before my surgery, and it is comfy. This thing is so soft and so it's that velourish fabric that I fucking love, and it's so soft.
Welcome to the stage.
Velourish fabric that I fucking love. Anyway, yeah. So, but it's so soft that I keep getting caught on it because I'm so soft too. What? So yeah, but I feel like I thought that I'd seen. I felt like I saw this movie when I was like a teenager on TV.
Right.
And then I thought I watched it with my ex and was like, oh, there's a lot more to this movie than I remember.
Uh-huh.
And then rewatching it last night, I was like, I remember fucking nothing about this movie. I'm like, why am I
Really?
convinced I've seen it multiple times? I remembered nothing. So I'm like, maybe I haven't seen it all the way through. I definitely remember like the stuff that happens at the end, like the weird sort of like, you know, the actual altered states part of it, you know, where, you know, the tank blows up that they never actually show. You just hear water and they're like, and then
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
they're like, I was mopping for hours or whatever. And I'm like, what? For what? Anyway. Yeah, I really like it. It's so fucking weird. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah.
And
I liked it a lot. I mean, yeah, I remember, you know, I think clearly we both had a strong impression about it. That's why we both
correct.
thought of it. You okay?
Yeah, sorry. I just got a twinge of pain in a horrible spot.
And so it was like, and because, you know, this is sort of the premise of the podcast, you know, like things we remember having seen and like wanting to revisit it and see what we think about now as more fully formed adults.
Right, yeah.
So I definitely, you know, and there's lots of very wild visuals in it, so it's easy to, you know, I was worried that I'm like, oh, is that the only reason it stuck with me?
Yeah.
No, it's got a lot going on. It's definitely
I'm not saying it's not problematic in areas.
For sure.
But I will say it's way less problematic than I thought it was going to be.
Uh-huh.
And especially when you mentioned this, the part where so there's like a section at the beginning where William Hurt's character goes to Mexico, right? He goes to Mexico and he kind of meets with like some indigenous folks there, and they're doing like a ceremony, and it's like one of those things where they like make this like tea or whatever that makes them hallucinate, which happens. Like that's an indigenous thing, like that'll happen, you know, where it's ceremonial, like they'll, you know, so like that seemed to track. He asks if he can like be in on it,
right?
Like
and they show that.
Yes.
Right? It's
well,
not like...
Keith was like, this doesn't feel as appropriative, and I think the reason why is because he asks, and they're like, okay, and then he asks them what it's gonna be, and then they tell him, but he's like completely shown as an outsider. He's not shown as them being like, oh, you're one of us, buddy. We love you and we accept you. He's shown as being a total outsider. He has a translator. Like, he doesn't speak the language. He doesn't even speak Spanish. So they're, like, this translator is telling him what these people are saying. And also, he's very much, like, not super, like, the things that they do, he's kind of weirded out by. Mm-hmm. So I feel like but they're not doing anything. Like, they cut his hand at some point, and he gets so, like, pissy about it, which I kind of loved. Yeah. Because I was like, it's exactly the thing, like, where you want to be involved in this, but you're like, oh, not like that, you know? And it's like, they're just like, okay, whatever. But it shows them participating
and also,
in it. What? Go ahead.
Leading up to it, he was like, ask him what it's going to look like.
Yeah,
ask him what it's going to feel like. Ask him what I'm going to see.
Yeah. And my favorite part is he's like, you'll see the beginning of everything. And he's like, what's it look like? And it's like, it looks like nothing. And then it looks like, but he's like, all like things like you can't actually describe, you know?
Su alma regresará a su primera alma.
Your soul will return to the first soul.
Ask him what this first soul will look like.
¿Cómo es la primera alma?
Es la materia encriada.
Is unborn stuff.
Entonces usted se lanzará en el vacío.
Then you will propel into the void.
Usted verá una mancha.
You will see a spot.
La mancha se convertirá en una grieta.
The spot will become a crack.
Esta es la grieta entre la nada.
This is the crack between the nothing.
De esta nada saldrá su alma encriada.
And out of this nothing will come your unborn soul.
You know, so I kind of like that he's like, what's it going to look like? You know, you'll see the beginning of everything. What's that look like? fuck off.
I know. Shut up, dude.
So it definitely did. And I'm not saying it like perfectly showed this, obviously, but it definitely felt like you weren't seeing all of it, for one. They weren't trying to show you every aspect of it. They were trying to show you that you're seeing a glimpse of this thing that is practiced by people that you're not fully going to understand. And you don't actually need to.
Well, and also, I think a part...
And
go on.
my favorite part was when he trips out and they get pissed at him.
Right.
And like basically like tell him he needs to fucking
They
leave.
kick him out, yeah.
Because he like ends up killing a lizard and he's like, but I don't remember doing that. And they're like, he's like, it's their word against mine. And his translator's like, okay, cool. Doesn't matter.
Right.
You gotta get out. We gotta leave. And he's like, oh, and he's so pissed off. He's like, oh, I couldn't have done that.
We only have their word I killed a lizard.
Oh, no.
You didn't see it, and I have no recollection of it. And this whole hideous business is just a joke the Indians have played on me to make the gringo look like a fool.
Look, you asked me what happened, and I told you. You drank the mixture and went outside. After a while, there was a scream, and some dogs were barking. I started after you. The screaming stopped, and the brooker yelled at me to come back and forget it.
Oh, bullshit.
And he's like, well, we heard screaming, and then we came out to that, so what else are we supposed to think? So I'm like, no, this actually, I felt like, and again, I'm not saying it's like, oh, this tribe was like totally shown accurately. What I'm saying is the outsider aspect of it, and this person like trying to insert themselves into this and be part of this was so fucking, it felt a lot more accurate, and I felt like it was shown as a portrayal of someone trying to invade another person's space, as opposed to trying to exploit the actual act of it and showing someone like just like, oh, I'm just in the middle of it and I fit right in. It was very much like you are an outsider in this space, but not in the sense of like fuck you. It's more like I'm invading your space. I'm choosing to invade your space, and I think it's fine, you know. And so I really appreciated the way that whole thing was shown. Like, it's showing his perspective of everything, but you're not really looking at him as a cool guy while he's doing it. He kind of looks nerdy. He kind of looks out of place. He kind of acts spoiled.
You're not super sympathetic to what
and
he's
I was
going
like,
through.
all right.
And as a character in general, you're kind of just like, this guy sucks.
I know.
I mean, like,
what is this?
Yeah.
Well, I wrote down, I was like, this is like a thing where I feel, sorry, you were going to say
Yeah,
something.
I have one more point
Yes.
that I wanted to make about that whole sequence.
Yes.
Just that, and I'm only just thinking it, so who knows.
Mm-hmm.
But like when they're, the ceremonial part, when they're brewing the tea or whatever.
Yeah.
It's in this cave,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have, I don't know, you know, there's one group of folks sitting around the cauldron or what have you. And then there's another group that is sat back who are playing music.
Yeah.
That's it. And then, you know, because one of my least favorite tropes is if you're showing an indigenous or tribal, I did air quotes.
Yep.
Culture, there's always like some hooting and hollering and dancing around a fire, right?
Correct. Yes.
And you do see the folks dancing, but it's after he's begun
Yes.
tripping. So it's a question of like if it's his projection,
Correct.
or how much of it is.
He says you ran outside, and then we heard screaming.
Yeah, right.
And then we came out to check on you. So it's very
Was
clear.
anybody else out there?
Yeah, it's very clear that no one was out there doing all kinds of fucking dances. He was just fucking tripping his head off, you know. And likely if they did hear him screaming and went out to check on him, they weren't like, well, I guess now's the time to dance, buddies. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, it's very clear that any sort of like thing that he's witnessing that seems like problematic is that way because that's how he's
His
perceiving what the tribe would do or how they would act. And it's sort of like, yeah, I don't know. I was like, you know, I think when he like regresses, you know, that's a little bit like,
That's got some,
not needed. I think, right. And also it's like, oh, you used like a smaller person of color to show that he's regressing, which I'm like, okay, just show William Hurt. Like, just put William Hurt in hair. I understand that what you're trying to portray is like, Cro-Magnon or whatever, but like, you don't need to do that with showing a person of color. Also, you can just put some weird prosthetics on him, and he doesn't. I know that
It's unclear if that person was chosen because.
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm not saying they were chosen specifically. I'm saying that you don't need to. You should be more conscious of how you're portraying them.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Like, and
For sure.
I'm sure that person was chosen because they were short.
Small and a dancer. They were part of the Alvin Ailey company.
Right. Yes. But, like, they don't look like William Hurt. They don't look any, you know what I mean? And I'm like, you can just, and I don't know. It's just that whole sequence. I was like,
Yeah.
I understand
that whole sequence is kind
he's supposed to be regressing into a different creature. I get that.
Yeah.
But, like, it would have been vastly more interesting if you showed William Hurt doing things like that. And, like, he was, picked because he was shorter, but he's never really, like, in a position where you can tell his height relative to another person's.
Yeah. No, it could
So
be
it's
shot in a way so
correct.
the height
Yeah.
is not, or is
And that would have
masked.
been a lot more interesting to see, giantess William Hurt as a, shot in a way to make him look tiny.
Yeah.
I would have been interested in that, That's all. That's my whole thing on that. I'm like, but other than that, I think it's super interesting.
That whole sequence is kind of
Also-
silly anyway. That's like one of the, for me, that sequence kind of is one of the weaker of the movie.
I fully agree.
It
Because
doesn't
I
have the
think
weight that a lot of the other things.
Because
It reads as more comical than a lot of the other shit.
it does, and it also is science. What?
Reset.
Somewhat. I was trying to say simultaneous and somewhat, so I was like sizably. No, it's like sort of like the rest of it. Like all of the things he experiences is kind of a question mark.
Right.
And
this
then
is this is
and
presented as just
being and so there's no real lead up to it.
yeah.
And so
You're right. Right. It lacks the
and then it doesn't and then they don't do it ever again.
right.
So it's not like every time you don't know if he's actually turning into this creature every time. The next time he does it, it's like this whole like
Yeah, there are some leaps because
Yeah.
the time before this is when he like comes out and he's bloody and he can't
I loved
speak.
that shit so
and
much.
they have X-rays. They have all these tests done. He's like, I think I'm regressed.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and the very next time he does it, or that
Yeah,
we see it,
he's
right?
like-
He fully
Yeah.
he devolves,
And like just goes out running and kills a fucking gazelle in the fucking
goes into the Bronx Zoo.
yeah, and kills
LOL.
and it's like
Anyway.
what?
Yeah, it's rough. But yeah, this you put it together for me. It's that
It seems out of place.
yes, and because, like you were saying, it's the way the cinematic language of it
Yeah.
is that we're watching factual events,
Correct.
whereas so much of the rest of the movie is hallucination. It's supposed to be hallucinations
yeah,
he's
or
having,
like,
or like
yeah.
whatever representations of what he's experiencing
Mhm.
through his own perception, right?
Right.
And this, even after when he's describing it to
Mhm.
his side piece wife,
Wife piece.
wife piece, nice. He was like, I remember fragments, but I was, it was just
yeah.
pure instinct.
He makes it sound so much cooler.
right. And that's not at all what we experience, right?
No.
We see an animal running around the
Yeah,
zoo.
right. Yeah. Right.
So,
You see someone that like is trying to kill dogs and shit.
yeah.
It's like, okay, this isn't
Yeah. And
you
it would have
know?
served it better, less
yeah.
trying to make a furry proto-human,
Yeah.
do more POV where
With
like
with a tall hairy butt crack.
yeah, so that part.
Yeah, a couple
But I will say, overall, I was really surprised at the pacing. I really enjoyed the pacing. I thought it was, it keeps it up.
Yeah. And it is a lot
Which
more.
is hard to do with
Also,
lots of
it
long
was-
visual
I'm surprised.
sequences.
I didn't realize this. It was a total flop. I didn't realize that because it's such a.
I don't think it was a total flop. I read that it had a little profit. I don't know if it was like how long it took, but
Oh, okay.
it made 19 million on top of 15, so a budget of 15.
Wow.
So
Wait. Like,
above. It cost 15 to make.
and then it made like
19.
4 million more?
Right.
Or, okay. I wrote down, I just want a couple notes. So, as soon as like the movie starts and you see William Hurt, I was like, yeah, if William Hurt, this age, William Hurt, if he existed now, he'd be in a Marvel movie. He'd be like fucking
he's
Star-Lord. He's got
right.
that face. So I'm like, God, thank God he was not born now, because he's so fucking attractive, but I love his weird, like, he just is in weird shit.
We were talking about this before we watched it, that I still feel weird about him. I can't quite say that I like him. I don't dislike him. This is something that makes me be like, But I think part of it is that my first girlfriend's dad very
totally
vaguely looked like him.
Absolutely.
And this was kind of a joke in their family.
Oh,
and
fuck.
when the Doctor came out, that movie with him.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Yeah. And that guy was also a doctor. So it was like, ha ha ha.
Oh, I would hate William Hurt if that was my experience with him. So you're doing good. I mean, bravo. I love how he delivers a fucking monologue. It's so. I just love how he does that shit. There's so many like long, like.
Did we say this is the Hollywood
It's his
debut?
Feature film fucking debut.
Jesus.
I had no idea. Two,
Nor
I found that out like close to the end of the movie, and I was like, "What the fuck?
I didn't know until you told me.
How?"
Also, Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, I know. So many people are in this, and I say that it was like there were so many people that I immediately fucking John Larroquette. God, John Larroquette is someone that I think was really fucking hot when he was younger.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. And I'm like, what? Like, he looks like he's 15. He looks like he's a 7 foot tall 15-year-old in this movie.
Baby.
I'm like, oh my God. Which, let me retract something. I said he looks fucking hot, and then I said he looks 15. That's not what I meant. I'm exaggerating how young he looked. He did not actually look 15.
Right.
He looks like he's still like just starting to go gray in this. So, which I think is really hot. I think when people go gray early, it's so fucking hot. Like I don't like anybody that's like, "Oh, I started going gray early and I got so insecure." I'm like, don't get insecure. Like fucking that is a blessing. That shit's so fucking hot. Especially when people look really young for like an extended period of time, but they go young, they go gray at like
in his early 30s.
What? He looks so fucking young. Anyway, John Larroquette is how old?
He's in The Search for Spock?
I believe it.
Sorry.
How old is he?
Born 1947.
What? Oh my God. I thought he was like maybe in his 60s. I didn't realize he was that old.
Yeah, that's wild.
Can we pause? Because I think I have to period poop.
You heard it here. And that's when I said, I didn't even marry a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing?
I don't get it. I didn't even marry a farmer?
It's a great punchline.
You got it there. It's a great yeah, I remember we left off with me talking about William Hurt looking hot or something. Basically, I just want to look like a guy from the 80s.
This is 1980, so
I know. Oh.
Right on the edge.
It is.
Some amazing sweaters in this movie, too.
I mean, really, from like 1978 to like 1995 is like the range of masculinity I want.
Quite a range.
It is, because Crash was like 1994, and I was like, oh my god, I wish I looked like James Spader. He looked kind of 80s in that movie.
He definitely did.
Personal opinion, but whatever. No, I enjoy William Hurt. I think there's something about him that's like, what I enjoy about him is that he's like very attractive. He's very conventionally attractive.
Uh-huh.
But he seems to take weird roles, or he's not like, I don't know. I just feel like he doesn't have like that, like.
We should probably watch Children of Lesser God, because I've never watched it.
Really?
Or maybe I have. I can't never remember.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what I would think of it now.
Gotta imagine it's painful.
I fucking love Marley Madeline, so
Yeah.
I'd be super.
I loved her on My Name is Earl.
She was on like The West Wing or something, I think. Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah. I don't know. I love her. Also, she's really funny, which is really interesting.
Can you imagine a deaf person being funny?
I mean like it's interesting that like she's known for like drama.
Yeah.
And she's not like she won like an Oscar for like drama, but she's like really funny. Like in just generally speaking, she's very funny. So that's something that what I mean is that's interesting is to me. I find that appealing is more what I mean. Anyway.
Yeah.
Also, like I grew up, my aunt was an interpreter for the deaf.
Uh-huh.
So I grew up around like lots of deaf folks and around, it's not, nope. The handle's not, you're not going to be able to reach it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That film changed Hollywood forever. Now there's roles for differently abled people all the time.
Yeah, right.
Wait, did you tell me that is not a term that's...
I just don't think people actually use it. I feel like people think it's more, what do you call it? Placating. Like it's like, you're not disabled, you're just differently abled. I follow a lot of like...
Our friends without homes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, I've not seen, I don't know, I feel like I yelled that. I have not seen any disabled folks who use the term.
Okay.
So that's why I don't use it myself. I'm not saying it's never used. I just have not seen it used in any, like in a community with any community that is considered disabled or considered to have a disability.
Okay.
But I don't remember.
Handy capable.
Right? Yeah. But I also don't remember if it's, because like there's such a debate and like around like autism to use like, like to not use like person first language. Wow. That when I said that out loud, it sounded like gibberish. I'm sure I said it correct, but I was like, what am I saying? Like you don't say like a person who has autism. You say like autistic like an autistic person. Like most autistic people.
Yes.
Don't want person first language.
Oh, interesting.
They don't want. They're like, because my autism is part of me. They're like, it's not something that I can carry with me. Like you wouldn't say, it's sort of like, you wouldn't say like a wheelchair bound person because like you're talking about the wheelchair in that. You're putting the wheelchair as the forefront. It's something that they use, that the person uses. So you would say a person, an individual using a wheelchair is how you would say that because it's something that they use. It's something that they, it's part of their disability, but it's something that they don't have. Like, it's not them. Like, it's not. But with autism, like, it's literally just how a person's brain works. So it is part of their identity. So a lot of times they want, so they're like, it's not something that you can separate from me. You know,
Okay.
like you would say it like a lot of times, like, and like it can be with person first
A
language.
person with chlamydia.
Right.
A chlamydiac.
See, you've got it. No, a lot of times person first language is something like some autistic folks want it to be person first language. So the rule is whatever the community says to do is what you do. But if an individual an individual within that community requests something different, then you do that for that individual.
Right.
That's pretty much the rule. Yeah. What were we talking? Oh, Children of a Lesser God. William Hurt is hot. In my personal opinion.
No, I'm not disagreeing.
Oh, I
I'm,
thought you
I'm
were
just
just, like,
it's my weird like
No,
I don't
I'm
know.
fine with that. But see, this is the thing. This is another thing that not weirds me out, but that is weird about me finding William Hurt so fucking attractive. He's conventionally attractive.
Right.
So it's like it doesn't make any sense.
Yes and no though. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. He's kind of
God,
weird looking.
I
don't-
think
you know what I mean?
he's so fucking hot in The Village. Like with his fucking messy ass hair and his like old man beard.
That's the other thing is he
He's so
got a
good.
certain age and then wasn't as skinny anymore.
Yeah.
And I think for a long time I confused him with David Ogden Stiers as a
Oh
young
my
person.
god, totally. Yeah. Totally.
So it felt weird that, you know, I still picked up on like people thought he was hot. So I'm like, that feels weird. The asshole from MASH?
Oh God. David Ogden Stiers.
Winchester,
Yeah.
I believe.
Forget.
Yeah.
He is someone. This is weird though. I can see how you would confuse them. David Ogden Stiers, never attractive in my opinion. I always got a weird vibe from him. I don't know why.
See?
I know. So, not that I think he was weird. I think David Ogden Stiers is great. But like, if you're like, oh, isn't he attractive? I'd be like, what? Someone's grandpa? That's
Right.
so fucking
Yeah.
weird. You know.
Yeah, he's one of those people that just has always seemed
Like,
not young.
yes. Oh my God. Some people are totally like that, where you're like, you never were a teenager or a young adult. You were,
Right.
you were born and you went from being like 11 years old to 46.
Right.
And then once you turned 46, you became 72.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
And then R.I.P.
And then R.I.P. Anyway.
And then you almost married Waxana and Troy.
Oh man, that's a pretty good episode though.
It
I think
is.
that's a really good. Anyway, there's so many like vibes like in this that are like, is this gay? Are you gay? Like, there's so many. This is a thing I really enjoy. I wrote this down about like late 70s, early 80s movies, and especially movies that are like depicting the late 70s, early 80s or whatever. Like, there's this weird thing that happens where you're like, are they supposed to be related or swingers? Like the scene where they all go, they're just all in
God.
each other's
And it's
houses, and
chaos.
you're like, who's fucking who?
Right.
I love that shit. I love it because I'm like, that's how it should be. If you have like friends, if you have like a bunch of friends, there should be some confusion over who's married to who. I fucking love that shit, you know?
Remember how that's kind of how fucking Internal Affairs was?
Yes.
Where it's like his ex-wife is hanging out.
It's like 17 different fucking people. He's like having you don't know who's pregnant with. You're like, wait, who's he with? He's got like 7 kids from like 4 different people, and they're all like commingling. And you're like, wait, what? And you're like, do I hate this? I
Right.
don't know. I can't tell.
You do because it's Richard
Right,
Gere and he's playing a
exactly.
horrible person.
Correct. Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, no.
I did your wife in the booty hole. 'cause
Also,
she's
this
a
movie-
fucking freak. She loves booty hole sex. Your wife's a sexual deviant. Butthole underwear sex. Oh, penis.
Butthole underwear sex.
And it's just like, oh my God, your wife's a freak. She does butthole stuff. I'm like, oh my God, how straight are you? This that's like a first date when you're a lesbian.
This Altered States. It's a,
You're like, and change the subject.
I just know I won't come back if I don't stay on.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, you're good.
It's not about you.
Yeah.
This is a wild thing that has only started happening for me in my perception. So, like, I don't know where to place it yet. It's because, remember, early on, I'm like, oh, right, it's supposed to be 1967.
Right.
But because the movie's release date, 1980, is so far away from the present, like, you don't... like, this happened... It happened with...
Jacob's Ladder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Where I'm like, oh, this is a period piece.
Right. Yeah. Also, but was it? Because, like, it was supposed to be 1967.
Well, it catches up.
And
then 7 years passes.
Yeah.
So,
like...
which is when it was written. It was written in, like,
77,
78, yeah. So.
Yeah, that was wild. But it was something where nothing looked that different to me. Like, they were trying to go hard on the 60s with, like, the bell sleeves and shit, but that was pretty much it.
Well, I noticed when it jumped ahead 7 years, everybody's got, like, wide-ass collars. And their shirts are open.
Yeah.
But that was about it. And the only reason when I said, oh, it's supposed to be 1967, we know this because it opens with Balaban doing a voiceover saying, Dr. So-and-so in 1967. Oh. But it's when the first, like, on the street shots. I'm like, why are all the cars, like, old-ass American cars?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right.
I didn't catch that. I'm really bad at like, something will be like, this is a period piece. Here is the time that this piece is set. And Keith will be like, oh, right, this is set in this time. I'm like, it is? You're like, yeah, it explicitly said that. I'm like, what? Right at the beginning, it was the first thing that was said. I'm like, what? Someone talked. This is my new favorite thing, by the way, too. Like, it's so surprising to me. I'll be like, what? Like, right now, you're like, Bob Balaban did a voiceover, and I'm like, he did a voiceover?
Dr. Jessup found the encephalographic evidence especially interesting. And one Saturday afternoon in April 1967, he decided to try the experience for himself.
I'm like, what? I don't remember that. What?
It's the very first thing, but it's the only time that happens.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no recollection.
Okay.
Whatsoever.
As we head in the home stretch here, I do want to touch on the drama of the production. And this, we haven't really talked about, like, there are multiple wild-ass hallucination segments.
Yeah.
I fucking loved them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's so easy for that to go...
stupid.
Yeah. These, for whatever reason, aged really well for me.
Yeah.
My only, I guess, critique or complaint is, like, the early ones that they show are, like, all this biblical reference stuff, which I fucking love.
For sure.
The fucking goat with 12 eyes or whatever.
God.
Love that.
Hell yes.
Blood spilling on the Bible. Amazing shit.
Or I think it wasn't the Bible. I think that was supposed to be the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, okay. What's a book? He opens it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the Ark of the Covenant is something that, like, remember, because, like, it's one of those things where, like, it's supposed to be, like, made of gold or something, or and then if you look at it,
the thing.
Oh, that's right.
Isn't it the Ten Commandments? Isn't that what's supposed to be in it?
No, I don't fucking know. I don't know Bible stuff.
The Covenant.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. I don't know. I don't think it's supposed to be the Bible.
Watch Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Get back to us.
Totally.
I would rewatch that. I haven't watched that in a while.
I loved that one. That was my favorite one.
It's, if for nothing else, it is great for watching some Nazis melt.
Yeah, for sure.
So the sequences, I loved them. Oh, I think you did not love this, but I really enjoyed, like, that's the other thing. The pacing of the movie, it really keeps up. Like, it really...
Yeah.
It's surprising that it works. I wouldn't guess that it works.
Yeah.
Especially with all the visual sequences.
Yes.
But they are very frenetic.
Yeah.
And they keep you... kept me, anyway.
What do you think I didn't like?
It's when he goes to Mexico and his trip. That whole sequence, when he sees the wife and him turn to sand. and it takes a long time. And I like it because it's a definite. It's a break. It's a
Right.
breather.
I didn't
And
dislike that it was taking a long time. I didn't like how it kept cutting back and forth really
okay.
fast.
Okay.
So it was trying to show that it was taking time, but it kept cutting back and forth between them, which I
Okay.
felt was defeating the purpose
Okay.
of that. I'm like, if they were showing
I hear
them
that.
in one
I hear that.
solid like frame of them crumbling really slow, I'd be like, this is fucking oh my God. But it kept like showing her and then showing him and showing her and then
Yeah.
showing him. And I'm like, no, this is totally defeating the purpose of
Okay.
what you're trying to do here.
I hear that.
And that's what I didn't like about it. I was like,
Gotcha.
oh my God, I get it. It's taking time, but you're going too fast in how you're showing how
uh-huh,
like it's slowing down. So yeah, I conceptually I thought it was great, but I didn't like how
If it
it
had
was
been a
executed.
Tarkovsky movie, it would have been real time.
It's in the Tarkovsky mug. I've seen Archive 81 literally 1,000 times. It's when he tells his friend to go to his aunt's house. And he's like, the key is in the Tarkovsky mug.
Of course.
I forget that I've seen that 1,000 times more than you because I just keep repeating it from the beginning.
Right.
And I literally can just like quote it. And I'll be
Front to
like,
back. Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, I'm going to quote.
It
And
came
I'm
out
like,
2
oh.
months ago.
It literally did. I'm like, okay.
Okay. Drama.
Before we get into that, I want to
Yeah.
say a couple things.
Yes.
When William Hurt is like having his fucking hallucinatory meltdowns,
Yeah.
you know, in front of his friends. And the guy's like, you brought back some Mexican mushrooms. That was really funny to
That
me.
guy has Mason. That character.
I loved him.
He has the best.
Oh my God.
Long ass.
He just, when they're screaming at each other in the fucking hospital and
Yeah.
he's
Walking
like,
away.
I'm a Harvard doctor.
I'm going to show these someone who can read and write, because you're reading it wrong, that's all there is to it. Because no one's going to tell me you de-differentiated your goddamn genetic structure for 4 goddamn hours and then reconstituted. I'm a professor of endocrinology at the Harvard Medical School. I'm an attending physician at the Peter Bent Brigham Hospital. I'm a contributing editor to the American Journal of Endocrinology, and I'm a fellow and vice president of the Eastern Association of Endocrinologists and president of the Journal Club. And I'm not going to listen to any more of your capitalistic, quantum, friggin' dumb, limbo, mumbo jumbo. I'm going to show these to a radiologist.
William
did.
Hurt just starts laughing.
He just sits down in the doorframe. And
But he's like
he laughs in his
laughing,
face and then sits down.
And I was like, same, fucking same. But he's just like literally. I think what I liked about it so much is the guy. He like you were like, I loved you in Midnight Mass. Like for sure, he has the same look as that dude. But his voice is so high and southern, and he's just like.
Well, he
hits
said that
those
in the
notes.
bar scene.
No. I know. But like, he's got that same look, and you expect him to have like this gruff, rough voice, but he just has like this high southern accent, and he just he's like, "Why, Shug?" Over everything. And I loved his character. Also, I really loved.
It was hard. He comes in and he's so hot and skeptical. He's like,
I love it.
he's like an X-Files character.
Oh God, it was so much. But
Played
what I
by
liked,
Charles Hayde.
what I loved, I loved it because it honestly felt like they all really were friends because they all brought such different energy. And
Yeah.
they dealt with, like, he would just come and he would just be screaming. And, like, Bob Balaban would just be like, I'm just going to say some
Balaban
kind
is
of
like unfazed for
Yes.
almost the entirety of the movie.
He would just be like, you know, he would just say some kind of sarcastic remark. And they would be like, why are you like this? And he'd just be like, I don't know. What do you want from me? And I was like, yes. And then William Hurt's like the crazy, like, I'm going to do all this really unsafe shit. And y'all are going to hold my hand through it. And they're just like, it's all of their reactions to him. They're like, you're my friend, but do I really want to do
God,
this?
it's so accurate too.
Exactly.
The way that
oh my God. And I loved
white
it.
men are enabled.
But but that's what I wanted to address in the sense of like William Hurt's character is like, and this is, I feel like, a trope that happens in a lot of, especially
yes.
American films where it's
Yes.
like, I'm unfeeling and logical only. And so therefore I'm the most like, it's the,
Yeah.
when you have like,
It's Ben Shapiro.
well, no, it's the thing of like, I'm unfeeling and logical. So therefore I'm like, what do you call it? It was like Kevin Bacon's character in, Flatliners. What do you call it?
I don't know, objective.
Yeah.
Control.
Yeah, the control, you know, I'm the control subject or whatever. Like, I don't have an opinion on this stuff. because I'm not leading with emotion. Therefore,
Yeah, right.
I'm like, in real life, you're just autistic and you're a pariah. You're not actually considered the control subject. So it's like this weird thing where, like, in film, in media, like, having no feeling or being unfeeling about things is always presented as, like, the superior, like, heightened individual. But in reality, if that's how you are, even if you're a white male, you're oftentimes, like, ostracized for that. So it's like this weird thing that happens, like, where if you don't have, like, you have to be, it's so weird. Like, his character, the way his character behaves, I'm like, it's being presented as unfeeling. Something that I did enjoy, though, is at the end, like, a lot of it is like him being like, I'm going to remove myself from humanity. I'm going to remove myself from, like, the idea of reality, because that's impermanent and not real. And, like, what is real is, like, what comes from consciousness and the inside,
Yeah, he's looking for transcendental truth.
Right, exactly. And then once he, like, gets it, sort of, he's like, I was wrong.
That
Whoops,
was
this
awful.
is horrible. And I really want... And I liked that because it shows that, like, it shakes his core and like he understands. And then, I mean, it's kind of cheesy because it ends with him being like, I love you.
Which
but
he
I'm
hasn't been able to say.
Right. But I enjoyed it in the sense of, like, I appreciate the fact that they're like, what is going to, like, not feeling, not loving, not caring is not actually going to keep you from pain. It's not going to keep you from things.
Yes.
So I did appreciate it. I kind of felt the
It is rushed.
It's rushed, and I felt like it was a little cheesy in how it was put out there. But I was, like, thinking about it. I, like, woke up today and I was like, you know what? Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. You're showing that, like, you can do this and still have emotions and feelings, and you can do this thinking that you're a control subject, thinking that you're only putting yourself through it, thinking that you're the only subject here, and you end up hurting the people that you love.
Right.
And so I really enjoyed, I really liked it. I really liked how that came about.
They don't...
I don't think they show it as well as they could have.
Right.
Personally.
You do... Right. And it's one of these things you're like, it's okay. It's a film, so you only get 2 hours to do, And so there are things that really feel rushed.
Yeah.
But overall, like, kudos for getting it all in there, I think. Like you do see, they do try to give space to, what's her name? I don't want to just say his wife over and over again.
I know.
Like a
fucking
Emily.
Well, what, like, fucking, Cotton,
Hank's wife?
Yeah. What is his name? What's his name in the movie? William Hurt's character? Eddie? Yeah, it's Eddie. Yeah, you said Eddie's wife. Just call her Eddie's wife.
Eddie's wife. Eddie's wife. Yeah, I mean, she's got her own career. She's got her own interests. And you see that, I mean, I feel like they go a little hard because her character, like, when she proposes to him.
Oh, yeah, that was horrible.
Sets it up in a weird dynamic. But they maintain that dynamic, and it feels true to that character. I don't know if that's a real person, per se. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know. Maybe. But I do like that once she starts believing him, she's like, oh, fuck, this is real. He may kill himself, basically, and that's going to have an impact on my fucking family and me. And she has this scene where she's kind of melting down with Mace, and where she's like, I'm possessed by him.
I liked that a lot.
Yeah.
It goes real heavy, but
it goes real hard.
But I fucking loved how she's like, I try so hard not to give a shit about him. Like, I tried to sleep with other men. I tried to
fall in love.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've tried to fall in love over the last year?
She's like, it doesn't matter who I sleep with. It doesn't matter whose hand I hold. And I liked that they imply, she's not like saying, I just tried fucking around. She's like, I tried
to fall in love.
Everything.
Do you know how many men I tried to fall in love with this past year? But it won't work no matter whom I'm in bed with. I have to imagine it's him, and nothing happens no matter who I'm eating with or walking with. There's always this pain because it isn't him. I'm possessed by him. It's crazy.
I think that's the way it's supposed to be.
Like, I tried to have conversations with, she was like, and I had to picture him for anything to happen. And I was like, oh, fuck. And she's like, why? And she's like, why can't I be rid of him? And he's like, I don't think it works that way. And I was like, fuck, you know?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that's really real. And I appreciated that it was addressing the fact that she's there, not out of obligation, but because she cares. And she doesn't know why.
Right.
And I was like, ooh, that does feel super fucking real. Yeah.
Right? Like,
and the fact that like I honestly liked how they portrayed their relationship, because they like split up because they were like, we want different things.
Right.
And we still care about each other. And he was just like, I can't do this. I can't maintain this and be alive. And she's like, cool, I want this. So I guess we're splitting up, and they're still friends. They talk, and it's literally just they want different things out of life. So they split up, and then they're apart for like a full year.
Despite the scene that we just described, it's not really tragic.
No, it's not tragic.
She's not seen as tragic.
Right.
I mean,
he picks her up at the airport, and what she's worried about in all this isn't, why isn't he with me? Why is he sleeping with that? They're shown as him sleeping with other people. She specifies that she's slept with other people.
Correct.
They have, they're not jealous. They're not like meddling in each other's life. What she's worried about is his safety.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I feel like this is like the healthiest I've ever seen, like a complicated relationship portrayed. Like their relationship is showed as not cut and dry. They care about each other, but they don't necessarily know how to be together in a way that feels good for both of them.
Compared to every 90s movie with Dustin Hoffman. You know what I mean? Like Sphere and Outbreak and all those movies where it's not just him, obviously, but like Twister. It's like, come on, guys.
However,
he is. Like, that's the thing. You're right. Is that it's like it doesn't make any bones. It doesn't like it's not fully explicit because it's the late 70s,
right?
So we didn't like. Now he would probably be diagnosed with something, right?
Yeah.
He's either a sociopath or autistic or something,
right. Yeah,
because he fully says like all their interactions that are about the relationship, where he was like. Yeah, I guess I could probably be a decent husband.
Yeah. Like, I don't imagine, he's like, I don't really get along with people, and I really get along with you, and I can't imagine that working with anyone else. So it's like, But another thing I like that I want to point out, I shouldn't say I like this, but another thing that I found interesting was they talk about schizophrenia, but the way that they talk about it, I was like, okay, they're not, like, it's basically, I mean, because it's when they're talking about it, it's set in the 60s, so it's when they still didn't know a lot about it, but they don't do it in the way that From Beyond did, where they're like schizophrenics or whatever, and then they show people with schizophrenia and you're like, oh my god, he's
and you only see one
he's
subject.
Interested in them because he's interested in how they experience it, and he's like. And he doesn't, and again, this is like showing how they used to perceive this, but it's still not shown in a way where they're like, first, they're not like doing the thing where they like show people like in straight jackets, and they're not like.
You see one test subject.
Yes. And all they have is like wires, and they're asking her like what she's experiencing while she's experiencing, and that's it. And he's like, I'm really fascinated with them because they have a lot of spiritual ideation. And that was it. It wasn't like, and he was like basically saying like their brains work differently, and I'm like, yeah, well, that's true. I mean, he was like saying like they experience things completely differently from other people. That's not false. And it wasn't shown, and again, I'm not saying it was perfectly done, and I really loved it, but I was like, okay, yeah, they're escaping a lot of things by not going too hard on like the science shows. I mean, I think he says, I think it's meant to mean like psychologically, but he says like physically they're made differently, and I think that's supposed to mean, I think it's just like the language was kind of not great, but I think that's supposed to mean like their brains are wired differently, like he's like they're completely different than essentially like a neurotypical individual. They didn't have I'm not saying they didn't have that language, but they didn't use that language back then.
Yeah.
So, he's basically saying like
And it's also like, who knows what language was used in academia.
Exactly.
And
That's what I
medicine
mean.
at the
Like,
time.
and I don't think that they would be using it in like the 60s in a fucking movie for Hollywood. Anyway, it was just interesting that they weren't like anything that they showed, like even they weren't demonizing or trivializing anything that they showed. They were showing that they were studying it or interested in it because of the experience that people had. And so it was like they weren't judging it from the outside. They were trying to get a glimpse of it,
right.
like help, like try to understand what someone is seeing, what someone is experiencing,
right?
Which was, it was just like really interesting. So kudos, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, talk about the
drama. No, you're right. It totally avoids a lot of the tropes that we see. Yeah. I mean, before, but definitely after.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, definitely, like how mental health is
even
treated
now,
before this is.
And like they don't go hard. They don't go hard on trying to explain it. They
right.
do almost the exact opposite. They're like, we don't know. We don't fucking know.
Avoiding the thing that really drives me crazy. Don't give more than you need
to. Yeah.
Then it's a liability.
Right.
Okay. So, some backdrop. The film had its origin with a meeting with the author, Patty Chayefsky, had with his friends Bob Fosse and Herb Gardner.
Bob Fosse.
They were feeling, quote, disgruntled. And as a joke, conceived of a movie they could make together. They wanted to pitch something to Dino De Laurentiis, who was making King Kong. After discussing a version of Frankenstein, they decided to do a version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Chayefsky went home and wrote a 3-page, quote, dramatic statement, and I have never seen something come together so fast. Then he decided to make a serious movie based on... Chayefsky decided to write a serious film on the American scientific community and the archetypal man in search of his true self. Anyway, so...
Yeah. Drama ensued.
The first director was quit.
Supposedly there were like the Ken
Russell
was it Driscoll? I don't know names. He said he was the according to him, he was the 27th director that was asked to do it. 26 people said no thanks before him.
Which apparently he had been struggling because he did had a box office failure with Valentino.
Oh.
In 1977, which I think is a biopic.
Oh, interesting.
About
Valentino.
Yeah. Rudolph. Yeah.
Supposedly, they tried the hyperbaric chamber. What is it? Isolation tank. They tried that, and like some of the cast tried it, and William Hurt hallucinated.
Oh,
but others didn't. Some people hated it, but William Hurt supposedly experienced hallucinations. I have no interest in especially watching stuff no interest in trying hallucinatory substances whatsoever.
Oh yeah, no.
Absolutely not.
I think for our
no thanks.
Particular things, hallucinogens are not the way to go.
No.
I have some interest in isolation chambers.
No way.
I don't think I could do it, but I'm really fascinated.
Oh, yeah. I'd be interested to read about it, but doing it? No. I don't even know if I'd want to see one up close. I'd be like, that's too much. That's actually too much for me.
Oh, we'll say that, what's her name that plays Emily?
She was in
Blair Brown is in
Fringe.
And...
yeah, there's a lot of...
they do an isolation chamber thing in there. They drop acid in.
Yeah.
Which is clearly borrowed from this.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Anyway, I don't need to go too hard. Russell and Chayefsky didn't get along.
Yeah.
And when you described this to me, I thought he was just a novelist, Chayefsky.
Same. Yeah.
But
Well, that's
no,
how
he
it's-
worked in Hollywood.
Oh, I see.
He was like a screenwriter.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot. I didn't understand a lot of it. So.
But yeah, apparently he wrote this treatment or whatever, and someone convinced him to write a whole novel before pitching it to a studio. So he did that for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, and I guess his name isn't actually on the film.
No, he asked.
It's credited
he
to
said,
yeah.
He said no thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he walked.
Yeah.
But it's credited to Sidney
Which is his
Aaron.
Which is his
His
pseudonym or something like that.
no, it's his actual legal name.
Oh,
because he goes by Patty for some reason, but his first name is Sidney and his middle name is Aaron or whatever the credit was. Yeah, but I there's these things like Russell said Chayefsky, quote, didn't like the color of the paint on the isolation tank. Then it went on to other things. He didn't like the lighting. The lighting comes up several times.
Wow.
Then he didn't like the machinery. Then he thought I was making the actors appear drunk in a scene where they were written to be slightly tipsy. There was a lot of embarrassing dialogue, and there was a hell of a lot more in the original script than there is now.
Wow.
It was a verbose script.
Wow.
And that's easy to believe, given some of the,
for sure. Yeah.
They are just, and kudos to the fucking actors because
I know.
they spit all this. It goes by so fast.
But it honestly, they're all academics. They would do this. It
feels,
fits.
it tracks, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Chayefsky eventually walked, and his name isn't on the movie, and sucks to suck, I guess. I like this quote. Patty's hallucinations were impossible to film, said Russell later. He'd write a direction something like interstellar gas shot through 5 million miles of universe like a puff of cigarette smoke. But when I read the script, I realized the picture would only succeed to the extent that it dramatized a certain experience common to all men, and that experience isn't gas going through the universe. Russell maintained that he changed almost nothing in Chayefsky's script and called the writer impossible to please. We shot every word that Patty wrote except for some trifling changes in the Mexican sequences. In fact, I was more faithful to the script in Altered States than in any previous movie, and I think I did it great justice.
Yeah, I bet. That's wild.
Oh, also apparently see if I'm getting this right. I think this when they first get to Mexico, or the first scene we see in Mexico, and he's like, "Are they harvesting mushrooms for the ceremony?" He's like, "No, it's for next year." Apparently, that was and everything was shot on location. So like
wild,
Harvard and San Francisco and New York. Additional scenes set in Mexico were filmed on location in Creal, Chihuahua, and included real-life footage of Tara Umara people collecting psychotropic mushrooms.
Wild. Wild.
All right. Enough of that.
Would you recommend?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about this, like, I've never done hallucinogens, no interest. I mean, I have had interest, but have decided that's not for me.
Absolutely not.
And I try to imagine, I have done some edibles.
Yeah.
And I've tried imagining what that would be like watching this movie. And even that seemed like maybe too much.
You were like, imagine being high while watching that. I was like, absolutely not. No, thank you.
So, but if that's your kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. This will be so much fun.
I found the visuals very
so
enjoyable. Oh, and
amazing.
the soundtrack. I didn't even bring
amazing.
up the soundtrack. Nominated. Academy and
should be.
Nominated. Yeah. There are some.
I think the end.
Moments.
I think the end goes hard. It starts playing like happy.
It gets
sappy.
synthy.
Yeah.
Once it gets to the, once he goes down the whirlpool kind of shit.
No, like at the end when he's like, "I love you," it's like,
oh yeah,
it gets like really love songy.
Well, I don't know why you're doing the Jeopardy theme song, but
it's because I love Jeopardy.
But
he said, "I love you," and when I think of that, I think of Jeopardy. So no.
That's fair. R.I.P.
Aw.
But yeah, recommend.
Absolutely, yes. And I don't even know if I have caveats with this. It's just like, if you don't like trippy movies, you'll hate it. But
yeah,
if you like 70s, if you like shit that looks kind of 70s came out in 1980, and you think William Hurt is hot, and you want to try to sneak a peek of his ding dong, I was yelling the whole time that I couldn't see his dick. I just want to see it. William Hurt.
I feel like we were both convinced too that it was in this movie.
I was very.
Oh, also the aha sequence, the fucking take on me sequence.
Yeah, for sure.
Apparently, actually lifted from this movie, or like the video was.
Oh shit!
Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's full on. You can tell, and I thought that was done really well. Like,
I loved
the special effects for being cheesy-ish.
Oh god, when he's banging his arm against the wall.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And every time he changes, I love one of my favorite effects is when they show him, but it looks like static.
Yes. Oh, so good.
Yeah, the visual effects are.
Loved it.
Not just the. Like trippy 2001 sequences, but the body stuff.
Yeah,
and this turned out to be way more body horror than I expected.
For sure. Yeah.
And the shit with the
his
apparently
arm.
This is one of the first times that like the air bladders under the skin.
Yeah, it was so
really well.
good.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was good.
So,
man, this was good. This was good shit. I was like, fuck yeah.
Holds up.
Yeah, definitely holds up. Holds up a lot better than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And again, so impressed with the pacing. I fully expected to be bored, and I never was.
Same. Yeah.
So suck it, Chayefsky.
Yeah.
Russell nailed it. Also, Chayefsky died like a year after this.
Yeah.
Came
So
out.
double suck it.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Sorry you didn't live long enough to feel the burn.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all. Hopefully my everything went well and my uterus no longer exists. It's been incinerated.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. Bye.